Liverpool could look to Nottingham Forest Murillo after losing Marc Guehi advantage. Liverpool do not hold an advantage in the race to sign Marc Guehi in 2026, despite having an agreement in place in September. Rousing the Kop understands. The Reds almost signed Guehi on transfer deadline day, with a contract agreed for the Crystal Palace captain. After Palace pulled the plug at the last moment, some have suggested that Liverpool are clear frontrunners to bring him in on a free transfer. However, while Liverpool are firmly in the race for Guehi, RTK have been told that they are by no means favourites at this stage. Instead, sources have described the situation as a slate being wiped clean for the centre-back, who will have numerous options within the Premier League and across Europe. While this does not mean Guehi will absolutely not join Liverpool, the Reds are understood to be assessing other options, including Murillo of Nottingham Forest. Liverpool must start again in Marc Guehi saga. Liverpool may still attempt to get ahead of the chasing pack and sign Guehi in January. However, the player himself is understood to be keen on assessing his options next summer. As transfer expert Graham Bailey exclusively tells RTK, this will at best mean Liverpool having to renegotiate the contract they agreed with Guehi last month, and at worst will mean he goes elsewhere. It was confirmed to me that the slate was wiped clean for Guehi, Bailey says. When he didn't move in January, it was a case of back to your starting blocks. It starts now. Liverpool don't have an advantage necessarily. That doesn't mean they won't get him. They might also look to do it in January, but he's expecting to move on a free and Palace think he will as well. If anyone tries in January, it'll most likely be Liverpool. I suspect the contract they agreed in the summer will be somewhat less than he'll be getting on his next deal. That's part of the reason they wanted to do it in the summer. I wouldn't say it's pointing towards Liverpool missing out just yet, but I do wonder if he looks abroad. Asked about Liverpool's interest in Bayern Munich's day at Upamecano, Bailey says that while the Reds are keeping abreast of the Frenchman's situation, sources feel he is more likely to stay put as things stand. The journalist also suggests Murillo could come into play. Upamecano, there's still a belief from German sources that he'll probably sign a new deal there, but you never know, Bailey says. Liverpool are assessing the centre-half market. There's loads of them out there. Murillo's a fascinating one. Let's see what happens around Forest. He's someone we know Liverpool like. How likely is a January deal for Liverpool? Given the long-term injury sustained by Giovanni Leone, and the current poor form of Ibrahima Konate, many Liverpool supporters would like to see a centre-back brought in as soon as possible. And according to Bailey, there is a chance the Reds enter the market in the new year if the right opportunity arises. January is obviously very hard to do anything, but they're assessing the market, he says. I do think we'll see them do 2 centre-halves in 2026. I think they would like to do one in January, but they won't do it for the sake of it. If they could get a Guehi or an Ordóñez, though, they likely will try. Murillo is a likely mover in 2026, but let's see. There could be another new manager at Forest and he could love it. Liverpool's chances of signing Guehi are not as strong as they once looked, but that only opens the door for someone else to walk through. Fabrizio Romano shares how Ruben Amorim really feels about Manuel Ugarte behind the scenes. Manuel Ugarte has endured a mixed start to the season, which has led to speculation over his future at Manchester United. During the latter stages of the summer transfer window, Manchester United were scouring the market for a new midfielder with links to Carlos Baleba and Adam Wharton. Heading into 2026, signing a new midfielder is a top priority for United, and that spells potential bad news for Manuel Ugarte. Reports claimed United were open to selling Ugarte this summer, but the Uruguay international ended up staying put in Manchester. But his performances this season have not earned him a starting spot under Ruben Amorim, and now speculation about an exit is ramping up again. Ruben Amorim's stance on Manuel Ugarte's future. One of the main frustrations around Ugarte this season is that Amorim has repeatedly put him above Kobbie Mainoo in his pecking order. With Casemiro also in the final year of his contract, it feels as though United are on the verge of a midfield overhaul. Man United's Carlos Baleba summer transfer truth amid Antoine Semenyo contract update. Manchester United continue to be linked with a number of incoming signings despite spending over £200 million bolstering their forward line in the summer transfer window. Brighton and Hove Albion's Carlos Baleba was linked with a move to Manchester United in the summer transfer window. Manchester United supporters have been told the truth behind the club's interest in Brighton Hove Albion midfielder Carlos Baleba in the summer, following an interview with Seagulls owner Tony Bloom. Ruben Amorim's side were heavily linked with a Cameroonian midfielder and are big admirers of the 21-year-old, with United's engine room in need of improvement. He's not the only Premier League star to have been linked with a move to Old Trafford, with Bournemouth star Antoine Semenyo also a player of interest in recent months. Man United Carlos Baleba transfer truth. Brighton chairman Bloom has played down any suggestion of there being a transfer saga concerning United and Seagulls midfielder Baleba. United have been strongly linked with the Cameroonian in recent months, but their Premier League rivals are understood to have set an asking price in excess of the fee they received for Moises Caicedo from Chelsea. Bloom says he gave Ruben Amorim's side a straightforward answer when they asked about signing Baleba last summer. In an interview with the Argus, Bloom said, "I don't think Baleba was a saga. There was interest from Manchester United, and we said that he wasn't available this summer and they went away. So we've had many bigger sagas in the past. But Carlos Baleba, his improvement has been immense. Massively important player to this football club, and just delighted that he's with us for this season." The Man says, "It's no secret that Manchester United want to bolster their midfield options as they search for a Casemiro successor, and just because they were unable to sign Baleba in the summer, that does not rule out a move in the future. That being said, the need to comply with PSR will likely rule out a January approach." Antoine Semenyo contract update. Bournemouth star Antoine Semenyo reportedly has a release clause in his contract with the Cherries which could pave the way for a move to Old Trafford. Talksport say both Man United and Spurs held talks with the forward last summer before he signed a new deal with Andoni Iraola's side. The exact details of the release clause are not yet known, but Bournemouth reportedly value Semenyo in the region of £75 million. The Man says, Semenyo would be another brilliant addition for United, but having spent £200 million in the recent summer transfer market, they had to offload some players in order to make room for the Ghana international. He's also expected to be in high demand and United would need to offer playing assurances. Bournemouth winger Antoine Semenyo has been in sensational form this season. Rio Ngumaha annoyed me by taking my Liverpool record, but he can be one of the best in world. Ben Woodburn saw his record as Liverpool's youngest ever goalscorer taken away in August, but he is predicting big things for Rio Ngumaha. Rio Ngumaha has been backed to become one of the best wingers in the world by the man he scrubbed from the Liverpool record books. Reds teenage talent Ngumaha became the youngest goalscorer in the club's history when he struck a 100th-minute winner to beat Newcastle 3-2 at St James Park in August at the age of 16 years and 361 days, taking the previous record set by Ben Woodburn when he struck against Leeds United in the League Cup at the age of 17 years and 45 days in November 2016. Woodburn, now at Salford City, admits he didn't enjoy seeing his record fall, but thinks Ngumaha has got what it takes to become a global star with the Reds. "I didn't love it," Woodburn told the Manchester Evening News when asked about seeing his record go. "But I was really happy for him. For me, I kind of felt in the moment that the record didn't really matter. I probably didn't realize how big it was at the time. So I'd imagine he's the same. He's probably just loving playing his football. He's played since and he's been great every time he's played for Liverpool, so I'm sure he'll be fine." Liverpool have just signed Isak and Ekatike for over £80 million each. It's so difficult for a 17-year-old lad to play, but I was surprised how many games he's played already. To me he looks like he could be one of the best wingers in the world at one point, so hopefully he can kick on and do that. Things didn't work out for Woodburn at Anfield after he burst onto the scene as a teenager, and the Wales international ended up leaving the Reds in 2022 after 11 appearances for the first team, the same amount of international caps he has for his country. Ben Woodburn was 17 years and 45 days old when he scored against Leeds United in November 2016. He was loaned out by the Reds 4 times before joining Preston on a permanent deal 3 years ago, and then moving on to Salford last year. "I went on a few loans where I didn't play as many games as I needed to," admits Woodburn. "I stumbled in my career at that point. When you're not playing and other kids are playing, they're going to get better and better. I learned a lot from going on those loans. But it probably wasn't ideal that I wasn't playing all the time at 17 and 18. I didn't play too much for half a season at Sheffield United. Then I got injured, so I wasn't even training back at Liverpool. Oxford, I got injured for 6 months. It's hard to get going again after getting injured and not really playing." Woodburn Rieman's close friends with Trent Alexander-Arnold, having emerged from the Reds Academy alongside the former vice-captain, who left for Real Madrid this summer. "I'm good mates with Trent, so I speak to him quite a bit," he says. "It's more jokey now if we're speaking about football. Nothing too serious. There's not much I can tell Trent is there. He's one of the best right-backs in the world, if not the best. It's more of a friend relationship than anything professional." After the ups and downs in his career, Woodburn is now enjoying himself with Salford in League Two. with the Welshman having made 15 appearances already this season. "It's been good for me. I've got to live at home. It's been nice. I enjoy playing here, enjoy the fans, enjoy the manager, the group of lads. So yeah, I can't complain really," he said. "I think I've always just wanted to feel part of a team where I'm really involved, and here I definitely feel that. I think I've always been at my best in my career when I've played game after game. When I'm not taking breaks in between or being on the bench, that's when I kind of get out of rhythm. When I'm constantly playing, I think that's when I play my best football." Newcastle United on alert to Marc Guehi's reaction after Liverpool transfer debacle. Newcastle United have been watching Marc Guehi's reaction following his failed move to Liverpool. Guehi almost joined Liverpool on deadline day, only to see the deal collapse in the final stages of a dramatic summer transfer window. The England international is expected to leave Crystal Palace at some point over the next 2 transfer windows, with his contract due to expire in the summer of 2026. Newcastle tried and failed to sign Guehi in 2024 and have since strengthened their defense by signing Malik Thiaw. Thiaw has made a brilliant start to life at Newcastle, but it seems that the door remains somewhat open to Guehi moving to St James Park. Newcastle United remain interested in Marc Guehi. According to the Chronicle, Newcastle have not totally given up on the prospect of signing Guehi either in January or next summer. The defender is said to remain of interest even after the club signed Thiaw, particularly if he can be signed for a reasonably cheap fee given his contractual status. The report adds that Newcastle have had scouts in attendance to watch how Guehi has reacted to the Liverpool saga. Considering his performances for the Eagles, it's not hard to imagine those Newcastle scouts being impressed. Marc Guehi has made a decision on his next club. Guehi now looks set to enter the market as a free agent next summer, unless he leaves in January. That will be an exciting prospect for the player. If he's on a free transfer, he's in a position to demand a lucrative signing-on fee. With that in mind, it's hard to see Newcastle winning the race. Frankly, Newcastle's wage structure does not allow them to pay what some of the biggest clubs in the world can offer players. Liverpool and Bayern Munich have new challenger in Marc Guehi pursuit, as Inter hope Crystal Palace interest in €35 million defender gives them advantage in transfer battle. Liverpool, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich and Barcelona have been joined by Serie A heavyweights Inter in the race to sign Marc Guehi. The Crystal Palace star, who will leave the club as a free agent next summer, could arrive at San Siro in January in a surprise transfer exchange, which would see Inter's Jan Bissek move the other way. Guehi set to join one of Europe's top clubs next year. Guehi has already confirmed his desire to leave Crystal Palace. The only uncertainty is whether he will depart in January or leave as a free agent at the end of the season. Over the summer, there was an agreement in place between Palace and Liverpool for the transfer of Guehi. Surprisingly, the €40 million, £35M/$47M, move collapsed on deadline day after the Eagles failed to find a suitable replacement. The Reds, though, haven't given up on their pursuit of the rock-solid English defender. But they aren't the only side to have shown an interest in acquiring Guehi's signature. Indeed, La Liga heavyweights Barcelona and Real Madrid, as well as reigning Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich, are keen on signing the Palace captain. Inter enter the fray for Guehi. According to a report from Tuttosport, the European giants have been joined by Inter in the race to land the coveted signature of Guehi. The Nerazzurri are planning to propose a January transfer exchange involving Jan Bissek. The Cologne-born defender was reportedly already approached by Palace in the summer, tabling a €35 million, £30M/$41M, offer for the 24-year-old services. Both the club and the player rejected the proposal, with Bissek opting to continue at Inter after making 46 appearances last season. Bissek, the trump card Inter could use to sign Guehi. The loan arrival of Manuel Akanji from Manchester City has changed the situation to a great extent. With Bissek now further down the pecking order under Christian Chivu, Palace could reignite their pursuit of the German international in January. Inter would not reject such an offer this time around. Instead, they are planning to use Bissek in a straightforward swap deal in a bid to lure Guehi. The move makes sense financially and sportingly for all parties. As Palace fear losing Guehi for free, Bissek fears losing out on game time and thus a chance of a spot in Germany's squad for next year's World Cup, and Inter fear having a lack of adequate depth in defense. Guehi not the only name on Inter's mind. Inter continue to monitor defensive prospects, with Ecuadorian prospect Joel Ordóñez of Club Brugge among the names linked. Also on Inter's radar are Wolfsburg's Konstantinos Kouliarakis and Serie A-based targets. Udinese Zomer Solit, Lazio's Mario Gila, who is also being eyed by rivals AC Milan, and Sassuolo's Tarek Muharrimovic. Florian Wirtz is no Luis Suarez, but I don't think Liverpool regrets selling Luis Diaz. Liverpool sold Luis Diaz to Bayern Munich for £65 million in July during a big summer of change that saw £116 million Florian Wirtz arrive from Bayer Leverkusen. Emile Heskey has claimed Liverpool will have no regrets over selling Luis Diaz, but admits patience is needed before Florian Wirtz fully settles on Merseyside. Former Red striker Heskey, who was a key part of the squad that lifted the UEFA Cup, League Cup and FA Cup in 2001, says the decision to offload Diaz to Bayern Munich in July for £65 million made sense from a business perspective. Heskey thinks the call to move Colombia international Diaz on in the summer has afforded Cody Gakpo an opportunity that he has yet to grasp in the Liverpool team this season after 3 successive defeats against Crystal Palace, Galatasaray and Chelsea. "I think Gakpo needs to come into his own," Heskey told Pundit Arena. "I think he's got to show a little bit more, especially on that left wing. He needs to show a little bit more for me. I was hoping he could be the one that would be stepping into that void that Luis Diaz has left." I don't think they regret selling Diaz though. Business is business. No matter how much a team spends on a player, they're still going to need a little period of bedding in, and it might be longer for some than others. When you look at Luis Suarez, he hit the ground running. But not every player's like that. Wirtz is needing that bedding in period, especially with the price tag, because that will be in his head as well. I don't think Wirtz's start would have dented his confidence. Sometimes you've got to take someone out of the firing line. You've got to remember this, and we talk about it all the time with this being the toughest league in the world and being the most relentless as well. So some players need to be taken out the firing line and taken out the firing line for their own good, because if you ask the player, they'll say, "No, keep me playing." And it might not be right for them. So sometimes you take them out the firing line, give them a little freshen up, and then put them back in and slowly bring them back into the team. When you look at the intensity that he has to play at in this Liverpool side, I doubt he would have had to play like that ever before. So he's got to get used to that, and then as well, when you're talking about defensively, you've got to say some of the Premier League defenses are the best in the world. So I think you've just got to give the players like Wirtz time. The Premier League champions return to action on October 19th when they entertain Manchester United at Anfield, and Arne Slot enters the most-watched club fixture in football on his worst run as Liverpool boss, having lost 3 in a row before the international break. Former England striker Heskey added, "Defensively, he wants to get things solid again. Konate and Van Dijk were solid last season, but it just looks a little bit jaded. Obviously with the fullbacks, Trent's not there anymore. Frimpong and Kerkez are just bedding in. So Slot is trying to find that match that Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate and Trent had. They were solid, and he's got to try and find that again. It might not look exactly the same, but it's got to have some sort of solidity to it. If you're talking about out-and-out strikers, I'd rather have Isak starting than Ekatike because I've seen him do it before. Don't get me wrong, I think Ekatike has done fantastic and he's got so much to give. I'd be interested to see if it could be done with 2 of them up front or one of them on the left drifting in with Kerkez coming and overlapping a little bit more.